The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Join the excitement and sign up to Jeff Banks online now to get 10% off any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting up to £500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Roger Varian had massive success in Deauville. Kind of wasn't expecting this, to be honest about it, Sarah. And the more I look back at this race, the more I think I'm not sure Rosalian, Notable Speech, or the two of them combined in some tag team effort would have beaten him, because damn, it was very impressive. Charyn became only the third winner since 2000 to break 1:34 after Goldikova and Moonlight Cloud, as he landed back-to-back Group 1 victories with a dominant performance in the Prix-Jacques Le Marois. Somewhere Kieran Schumacher was kicking back on the lawn chair, lighting a cigar, having a glass of champagne, going, "Come on, Ryan, you did me a real favour there." And breaking news, not for you, but it is for Sarah and I, and the Racing Post. In Spiral, on course for possible Newmarket Swan Song, with Kieran Schumacher not ruled out to regain the ride. More on that to come, but let's deal with Charyn first of all. This was really, really good.
He was very impressive, wasn't he? And he did it really well. I suppose he's always been a good horse, and Roger was quick to point that out after the win. Group 2 winning 2-year-old who's placed in Group 1s last year, albeit he didn't look last year like he had the winning of them in his sights, Now, what is interesting, I think Roger said that he's just matured and that's why he's a lot better, but I can't forget the interview with the stable lad after he won the Queen Anne, who let it slip that it was a little wind up on Sylvester de Sousa that's helped him.
Yes, Sarah, I'm glad you brought that up.
I think they'll be muting the grooms on the way in future, but that's quite interesting. It's worked a charm anyway, and he has huge ability, so perhaps we shouldn't be so. I suppose he's a stallion career in his sight, so it's not ideal to hear about a wind up, but we'll never know how many of them have had such issues.
Question, and this is not by any means a dig at the Racing Post, but why is that not on the database?
He mustn't have been declared.
Isn't it supposed to be?
Yes. maybe the lad got it wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe that stable lad was talking absolutely. Maybe he banged his head.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, sometimes with the wind ups, they don't always last. We don't know what type of one he got, but surely it'll last a season anyway. And I think he's heading for the Moulin and the QE2 next, is it?
Well, definitely the QE2. The Moulin was mentioned. I don't know if they're mad keen to go for that, though. The QE2 is absolutely the race they're going to go for. And I did sort of casually reference this earlier on, that there was a school of thought that he needed soft ground to be at his best. But maybe, well, I'm asthmatic, so if my lungs aren't operating very well, I'm not going to do a whole lot for you. But if I get a dose of the steroids and the inhalers, and then suddenly I'm grand, and I can do pretty much whatever you need me to. So maybe it's more to do with that he just was struggling because his wind wasn't quite at its best. But on the firm ground, he had no issue with it whatsoever. And if soft ground does bring out the best in him still, then assuming we get the torrential downpour that almost always comes on Champions Day, he'll take a hell of a lot of beating.
Yeah. And he's an important horse for Sylvester de Sousa as well, who's had a few indiscretions and hiccups in Hong Kong to overcome. He's trying to make his name again, and this is the horse to do it for him. He definitely gets a good tune. It's worth saying.
Yeah, well, listen, it did happen, and he's a big boy. He's learned from his mistakes, and it's great to have him back. Like, in a way, I'm sorry for him that it happened, but it's good for British racing that it did, because Sylvester de Sousa is mustard. So at least we've got him back. But Hong Kong's loss is our gain, and de Sousa's loss out there is definitely British racing's gain.
Style of riding he likes to do. I mean, I know he didn't make all in the Jacques Le Marois, but he does like to ride horses up there. And Charyn definitely likes to bowl along as well, which is another thing that might help a horse with a wee bit of a wind problem, just because you keep the breathing in a steady state the whole time. You're not taking a pull out of them.
Timeform gave him a mark of 125, which is the very same as Notable Speech. We're not going to see Brazilian again this year by the looks of things. He is coming back next year, which is great. And I don't know if Godolphin are going to send Notable Speech to the QE2, but if they did, which of the two would you favour?
Notable Speech is still a bit more glamorous creature, isn't he? I know it's not all about that, but he still has potential. I mean, you can put, obviously now we can put a line through Ascot. I know everyone didn't turn up in Goodwood, but he was still very impressive. It's hard to tell, but I think it looks close enough anyway. I suppose the mining division, doesn't look that hot. I mean, the Queen and the Charyn one wasn't the strongest. I suppose Audience is. I don't know how he'll go if the ground is soft enough, but he proved the last day that he is still capable of putting up a good performance. He put the Ascot run behind him. I thought after Ascot that he needed it all his own way up front, but he obviously doesn't. So, and maybe Henry Longfellow will be back again. I don't know.
So I thought Audience had just poxed that Lockinge, that they all lost their minds, allowed him out in front.
I think I was watching initially. I was watching him spiral out the back, and then I was like, "Oh, he's gone."
Yeah. I think that's what everybody was doing, though, like including the jockeys who should have known better. But then that's happened again at Goodwood. Everyone's just ignored him up front and gone, that Group 1 winner who made all the running at Newbury, we don't have to worry about it. Oh, wait, we do have to worry about him. So I don't know what to make of him. I think the miling division is so weak, he's still a serious player. You have to pay very close attention to him. And if he goes for the QE2, he'll be a threat to everybody. You would like to think, though, that one of Charyn or Notable Speech will just have a little bit too much firepower on the day. I'm a little bit like you, though. I think I would favour Notable Speech. I'm not sure he'll go.
It's not the race it really was, though, is it?
No.
So maybe, like the whole, the fact that they usually get a deluge around that time is definitely taking the gloss off that race. It's not
they've had to move the race from the flat track to the bloody jumps track so many times, Sarah.
Yeah.
It's Champions Day.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I love Ascot.
Maybe Ireland could do a Group 1 mile for older horses and we'd have a better track for it.
Irish Champions Weekend. Can we get that race upgraded, please? The Boomerang Mile. Thanks very much. That would be useful for everybody, I think. Assuming the French will probably just object to that, and maybe the British would too. But the European Pattern Committee, I'm sure, will be getting another call to see if that can be upgraded. Master of the Seas missed out on a race over the weekend. I think it might have been in Saratoga, but it was a Grade 1 in America that he was going to go for. He missed it. But they've got him for the Breeders' Cup Mile, the defending champion. I just wonder, given Charlie Appleby's record in America, he won the Arlington Million last night as we're recording on Monday. Given Charlie Appleby's massive success with William Buick at the Breeders' Cup, just imagine the mile is going to be what they do with Notable Speech. And then the question is, does Roger Varian do the same thing with Charyn?
Yeah, it would definitely be more exciting for him as a stallion going forward as well, wouldn't it? Because Nurlan Bizikov, the owner, wants to stand him at stud. He already has Mishrif. He has another stallion I can't remember as well. So it'd be a huge selling point if he could win over there. Yeah,
big time. I'd imagine. Let's see if there's any horses left for the QE2 by the time that race comes around.
Did a really good job with this horse, bringing him along, from 2 to 3 and improving at 4. It's been a difficult season for him. Obviously, he lost King of Steel, but he's a very good trainer and a patient trainer when he gets the right horse, I think.
Well, that was crazy. He didn't just lose King of Steel. He lost all of the Amma horses in his yard.
That's it, yeah. Now, he's always a trainer who seems to get plenty of ammunition and a mix of owners. He's quite popular. So he won't be at a loss, I wouldn't say. But to lose something like King of Steel is heartbreaking.
Crazy. And it's almost as though, like, the assertion being made was, it's his fault. Because, horses never get injured, Sarah. That never happens.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things you can never tell anyway. So you can't just, who's to know?
Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly along. Metropolitan, I thought, ran a nice race. He was the only 3-year-old in the field, French 2,000 Guineas winner, and he's boosted the St. James's Palace Stakes for him as well.
Yeah, he ran a good race. It's a good, solid race. Again, comparing the 3-year-old milers, maybe it's a little bit worrying that there was such a gap between him and Charyn, but I think Charyn just seems to be really growing in confidence and seems to have another gear to go on again.
Yeah,
I thought Metropolitan looked a little bit caught for toe at one stage. And was kind of getting organised. It looked for a second to me like he was going to drop further back, and he didn't. They were kind of in a group, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in that race.
Yeah, he was no match for Charyn in the end, but I thought it was a nice race. And his trainer said he would come forward from this as well. He's definitely going for the Moulin next, whether Charyn takes him on or not. Again, remains to be seen, but definitely we will see him at Ascot for the Queen Elizabeth II. That's one horse we know for sure will be there. Audience will probably be there as well. Will Notable Speech turn up? Go on, Charlie. Do it. You know you want to. This episode of the Final Furlong podcast is only possible with your support, listening and watching, and with the support of our sponsors. So give me 60 seconds to tell you about Jeff Banks Bet. Betting on horse racing used to be very simple. It was us, the punter, versus
them, the bookmakers, the old enemy. But today, betting with online bookmakers is zero fun. Online betting companies promise you the world, but if you have the nerve and the audacity to place a winning bet, they will make you jump through endless hoops just to access your cash. It is not fair and it's not fun. And betting is supposed to be fun. Jeff Banks is different. He's one of the most recognizable faces in British racing. He's got pitches at racecourses all across the United Kingdom. He is a true horse racing fan. And while Jeff very much promotes responsible betting, he is standing up and fighting back against these insane affordability checks. Affordability checks that will destroy the levy and kill British racing. Sign up to jeffbanks.bet right now. Use our promo code FFP500, and not only will you get access to a bookmaker who values your custom, who is a racing fan, but he'll give you best odds guaranteed on British and Irish racing, and he'll give you 10% cash back on net losses after your first month, up to £500. Gamble responsibly, 18 plus only, begambleaware.org. It's tradition refined with modern tech and unbeatable odds. Use our promo code FFP500 and place your bets now with Jeff Banks Bet.
Al Riffa. So shout out Sam Morgan, because the two of us went through the ARC field a couple of weeks ago. I put up Opera Singer at 20-1 with Jeff Banks Bet. He put up Al Riffa at 33-1. And thanks, Sarah. It's you and Jeff both going, "No, you've done your money there, Kennedy." She's now 8-1. So, we're in an all right position. And Sam's 33s is now a 16s shot. So we've both had our horses boosted. So if you followed us in, you're in a good spot. Or are you? What did you make of Al Riffa in the German Group 1?
I thought it was excellent placing from Joseph and Kevin Blake. It was a very weak Group 1. The second horse was a Group 2 winner, but disappointed in the German Derby. And the third horse, King of Conquest, just listed level, Group 3 place. It wasn't a strong Group 1, but the horse got his Group 1 as an older horse, and it was done his confidence the world of good, because he only had 2 runs at 3 after getting injured. And he put out a hard race against City of Troy the last day in the Eclipse. So they found a trip now that suits him. I mean, to my eye, he still doesn't look like top Group 1, potential. He was 4th in the Ghanaian, I think he was. I think you can put a line through the Saratoga race, because I think the ground was riding very quick that day, and he was dropped out the back. I was actually in New York around that time, and I remember reading in the papers a lot of American trainers giving out that the way the track was riding, no horse could make any ground from behind. So it seemed like he had it all stacked against him in that race. So I suppose you can put a line through that one. But
knowledge. That's why you get Sarah Lynam on your podcast. Knowledge.
I just turned in a taxi in New York.
Yeah, but very useful knowledge, though.
I was like, why am I always listening to horse racing things wherever I go? But listen, it could have been sour grapes, but that's what I heard.
Well, who'd have thought a conversation back in June or reading it in the Daily Racing Forum would prove to be very useful in August on the Final Furlong podcast?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, always working. But I was happy for Connections, because it's been difficult for them. He was their last Group 1 winner, I think, for Joseph.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of big purchases since then. A lot of mares in training that cost a lot of money. As I said, expensive young horses as well in the yard that just haven't reached the heights. I think I remember Derby weekend, the only winner he had was of a maiden. And while his horses are running well, they just don't seem to be competitive in the big races lately. So, I mean, we all know what Joseph can do, but it was just, just a reminder for everyone that he's well able to train. Just obviously things aren't clicking with the string at a certain level at the minute, but that was good. That was good going. And he also had a Group 2 winner, a Carrot of the County in France yesterday. So, maybe they're going to have a good end of the season.
Yeah, I'd say Blake earned a nice bonus now for the weekend. That was good placing. Carrot of the County was really good under Ryan Moore.
Good for Dylan Brown as well, because it's difficult for a young jockey, as we've learned throughout last week. He could easily be in the firing line if things aren't going as planned, because he's only learning. Even though people call him a star of the weight room, he is only really out of his apprenticeship and learning. So winners like Al Riffa are very important. Because I think he's lost a ride on Dancing Gemini. I don't know whether he'd be too cut up about that, but you know what I mean. He's a chap who's been held to very high regard, and you need these winners for your confidence.
Yeah, he was thrown into the firing line by your close personal friend Frankie Dettori very early on in his career.
That day when he wouldn't take any nonsense from Frankie, and he fought his Whether he's right or wrong, I think it's quite good that he's not intimidated by these.
Oh yeah, big time.
And just to clarify, he's not my personal friend. Just Emmet knows that as a child, he refused to give me his autograph a number of times.
Oh, she's doing it. She actually. Take that, Frankie.
The pain still lingers.
Take that, Frankie.
I'm a huge fan of him as a rider, to be fair. But
yeah, he's all right.
He was very upset in the car one day.
If he'd known, always be kind to people. You never know where they're gonna go.
There was actually a line of children both times looking for his autograph. One time was when he had won the Champion Stakes in Daylamy, and the other day was at the Curragh. I don't know what he was riding. Well, he walked by everyone. But I will say, McKinnon came out and gave me his autograph. And Cash Asmussen. So I was like, I don't like Cash Asmussen. Little did I know he was an excellent jockey, but I had Frankie Dettori's videotapes. So
yeah, back in the day when
it was like a video he made of him jumping off horses. It's going very strange. You just shouldn't have said he was my personal friend.
Like Frankie does just play up to the camera, and that's what it is. That's all I can say about that. You know what I'm talking about. The person that you see on camera is not always who that person actually is. Some people are very good.
Walks of life, like you get an actor who's actually very shy, but they seem very flamboyant and loud on screen. And I suppose everyone's allowed to have different personalities and so on.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's very quiet, but a phenomenal actor. Like just unbelievable. He can do anything. And on a like more grosser level, like Philip Schofield pretended to be the nicest person in the world. Turns out he's not. So yeah, there's people who are capable of doing that kind of stuff. It's so odd to me that you should act nice, and the way to get forward is to act like a nice person, but instead of actually just being a nice person, you're a dick to everybody, but you pretend to be this nice guy on camera. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Anyway, I take a more positive look about Al Riffa and his long-term prospects for the Arc. Mainly, though, Sarah, because who's going to win it?
I would disagree with you. I think there's plenty of horses I would place above him. Look to Vega, the Prix du Jockey Club winner. I don't know if he'll stay, but he's 3 out of 3 now.
Yeah.
There's Sosi, who was 3rd behind him in the Prix du Jockey Club and won the Grand Prix de Paris. That's over 12 furlongs.
Which Rail Link won, yeah.
The French have their options. I mean, City of Troy, maybe, who's already beaten him in the Eclipse.
Will he turn up?
I don't know. I don't know if he'll like the ground, but Blue Stocking.
Well, hold on. Have you heard anything on the grapevine that they're looking at that for him, or is it just all roads?
I saw him in the betting. No, I didn't hear it in a taxi anywhere.
Okay. Oh, you were talking to John Magner. Oh, you're into the racing now. You were talking to that fella, John Magner. You're telling me the Arc. Get on for the Arc.
Yeah. White Birch.
Where is he?
Well, he'll be a fresh horse. That's all I know. Which is the French style, so it might suit him.
Yeah.
Usually they take a break. I suppose the quicker ground at the minute wouldn't really suit him. But do you know who I think was interesting? But he's 50-1 for the race, so he probably won't go for it. And I think he's going for the Melbourne Cup. Tower of London.
Yes, or as that Star Wars actress says, yes.
Yes.
I really liked him the other day. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I thought he was very impressive.
And he had a killer turn of foot out in the Middle East both times.
Again, he mightn't like soft ground, so he might be going for an Australian campaign. I don't know. Or else there's Continuous. He was 5th in it last year, and he's only ran once this season, so he's another one who'll be a fresh horse.
I wonder, are they going to run him in the Royal Whip? I know that's this weekend, and I have not seen the entries for it, so it's...
No,
he's in!
They're not out yet, so...
He's in it. They've put him in. The Shudder Market Cafe Royal Whip Stakes Group 3 has Continuous, Raiden O'Brien, Hans Anderson, he'll be a pacemaker. Los Angeles is in there. That's interesting, Aidan. Chief Little Rock, okay. He'll be off to Australia soon enough, I would imagine. Yeah, he'll run in that, I'd say. Ooh, that's interesting. Because nobody's talking about him anymore, and he's... What price do we get him with Jeff Banks here for the Arc? I think any price you want, Sarah.
Like 5th in the Hardwick for your first run of the season is good.
Well, considering the runner-up bolted up in the King George the next time out. Now, he did get perfect conditions that day, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would intrigue me.
But it does look like it's going to be an interesting Arc. So.
You're skeptical about Al Riffa. We're both kind of interested in Continuous.
Well, I'm not skeptical. He can perhaps each way, but I don't see him as a winner so far. But like that will have done wonders for his confidence. And you know, he obviously maybe he's improving at 12, but
yeah, he stays. That's not an issue for him either. And it is a great piece of placing from Joseph and Kevin. Like, hats off to them. But I gotta be honest, Sarah, I don't understand. Now, maybe this is like to my overall point about where's the strength and depth in this division. But this race has been won by a Protectionist who'd won the Melbourne Cup, won it on his second last start in 2016. Best Solution picked up his first Group 1 before going on to win another 2, so 3 in a row, including the Cox Plate for Said Bin Saror. Rebels Romance, this was his first Group 1 win in this race in 2022. And Torquato Tasso and Alpinista both won this, and then in that same year won the Arc. So how did nobody else look at this and go, that's a Group 1 that can lead to Arc success, let's go?
Maybe there's just, well, I think generally people expect the German Group 1s to have soft ground, which I think are real good this weekend. There seems to be just a lack in depth of Group 1 middle distance horses. Earlier we spoke about the miling division looking a bit weak. I find it interesting that people always come for the sprinting division and say it's weak, which I think it is. It definitely is. But I think across the board we seem to have a lack of depth of proper Group 1 horses at all levels, and I think that's a little bit worrying. Now the middle distance horses, obviously there's talk that they get sold to Australia. I can't off the top of my head think of a good one that's been sold recently, but yeah, perhaps that's where they go. They're being sold abroad before they can reach these levels. But like, even when you think about Riffa, you need a very patient owner to deal with him. You know, a Group 1 winner at 2, granted, but only 2 runs at 3, and then they kept him in training to try again at 4.
Yeah,
you know, you need a patient approach.
Yeah, he had a number of setbacks, so they couldn't quite get him out in the way they wanted to, and he's now starting to fulfill that potential. But it does put a more positive spin on City of Troy's Coral Eclipse.
Does it? We just said the race was a weak Group 1 that he won.
Well, true. Yeah, I suppose it's the confirmation bias. If you want to believe
City of Troy won the Eclipse, you know, he was hanging and he made heavy weather of it. Again, we were talking about advertising earlier. We were told that this was the next Franco. He certainly didn't win in that manner. I don't think it puts it in any better light. It's at least he didn't go and get stuffed in this German race, so that would look awful. But I don't think it boosts the form. I don't think it changes a whole lot.
What do you make of City of Troy for the Juddmonte?
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I think it's really exciting, and I think Ambiente Friendly is going for that race as well. Interesting to see him back at 10 furlongs. Looks to have, he was so impressive when he won in Lingfield. He showed a really nice turn of foot that day, and he was travelling so well in the Epsom Derby. I'd say he was a little bit bottomed coming to the Irish Derby. He didn't give his true running.
Yeah.
So interesting to see how he goes. And I thought they were going to bring him back. I heard an interview with James Fanshawe, they were thinking about that he had so many hard races, they were going to give him an easier confidence booster rather than go for a Group 1 immediately after that. But he must be giving them the right signs at home that they're happy to go for this.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go for that Group 2 at York that was on last Saturday. Owen Burrows won it, and something along those lines. That was the race that Economics was supposed to go for. He's going to go for a French race now during the week instead. It's an intriguing one. Like, you're taking on City of Troy again, who beat you fair and square and was much the best in that derby.
But think of what they'll do. If City of Troy can go and win a 10 furlong Group 1 impressively, it would do wonders for his profile. And also, it's one of the most beautiful race courses, I think, around to see a couple of really good 3-year-olds. And also, isn't the French horse Calandagan going for it as well?
He is.
Yeah, so I think it's shaping into a very good, very interesting Group 1 anyway.
Our old friend White Birch is in there as well. Alflela, that was the name of the horse. I couldn't quite remember, but was trying to pretend that I could remember. This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp Therapy Online. What are your self-care non-negotiables? Maybe you never skip leg day or therapy day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you've no time for yourself, non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. If you've ever been in therapy, then like me, you know how beneficial it can be. But it's not just for those who've experienced major trauma. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and setting boundaries. Therapy empowers you to be the best version of yourself.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a registered therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. With almost 5,000 therapists in the UK already, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a wide variety of expertise. Visit betterhelp.com/furlong today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/furlong. This is a paid advertisement by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/furlong to get 10% off your first month and get on your way to being your best self. The Final Furlong podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Join the excitement and sign up to Jeff Banks online now to get 10% off any net losses returned as cash after your first month of betting up to £500 at jeffbanks.bet.